Did you know that lobsters, the luxurious delicacy we savor today, were once considered food fit only for the poor? In colonial America, lobsters were so abundant along the New England coastline that they would wash up on shore in piles, sometimes 2 feet high after storms. They were so plentiful, in fact, that they were nicknamed the cockroach of the sea and were seen as a nuisance rather than a treasure. During the 17th and 18th centuries, lobsters were a staple food for prisoners, indentured servants, and even livestock. Some colonial prisoners reportedly grew so tired of eating lobster that they demanded it be served no more than 3 times a week, marking one of the earliest recorded examples of a food revolt. Imagine a time when inmates complained about being served what is now a $50 entree. The disdain for lobsters didn't stop at the prisons. Farmers would crush up lobster shells to use as fertilizer for their crops, and coastal residents fed it to pigs and chickens. For many New Englanders of the time, eating lobster was a sign of poverty, not prosperity. It wasn't uncommon for servants to write contracts specifying that they would not be forced to eat lobster too often. So, what changed? By the mid-19th century, the invention of canning started to make lobster more widely available. It became a cheap protein for urban workers who didn't live near the coasts. But the real shift happened with the rise of tourism in New England in the late 1800s. Wealthy travelers from inland areas began to see lobster as an exotic treat, something they couldn't get back home. Railroad dining cars even began serving lobster to passengers, elevating its status. By the time the 20th century rolled around, lobster's reputation had completely transformed. Advances in transportation and refrigeration made it possible to ship live lobsters across the country, and demand skyrocketed. What was once a food for the impoverished became a symbol of indulgence and fine dining. So next time you crack open a lobster tail at a fancy dinner, remember, you're eating what prisoners used to beg to avoid. Funny how time and marketing can turn the tides of taste.